Hey everyone, welcome to part 3 of our video series on the fat loss challenge at CrossFit Blackfire. I hope you've seen our previous two videos which we've been talking about the goals and what we should be doing to get ready for this challenge and trying to understand insulin. In today's video, we're going to be talking about more of a game plan and strategy on how we should be achieving this goal. In the last video, we touched upon exercise, but we didn't really go in depth. So today we're going to talk about exercise and more about it and how it's going to help in fat loss. It's definitely not the same way most people think about exercise. Most people think that we exercise to burn calories. While that is true in a way, what we plan to do and what we aim to do is build muscle through exercise. So the muscle is what helps in long-term thermogenic effects, that is of utilizing of calories. Unfortunately, most of the world and people believe that doing aerobic kind of exercise burns the most amount of calories, and that's what leads to fat loss. Yes, aerobic exercise does lead to fat loss, but it's very short term, and the effects stop as soon as you stop doing your aerobic exercise. But when it comes to something like high intensity workouts, anything that builds strength, these effects last for a much longer time. The more muscle you put on, the more amount of calories you're burning through the day, and this seems to be the most viable option because having more muscle also leads to a lot more other benefits: increase of strength, increase of burning calories through the day, increase in health and fitness, increase in speed. So definitely one of our strategies is going to be building more muscle. So here's what we're going to be doing every week for the next month or more. We're going to be doing high intensity workouts and focusing more on strength and high intensity workouts. That's by pushing ourselves to the limit so that we keep building muscle and we keep improving our strength. So at least 4 times a week we should be doing these kind of workouts. If you have a little more additional time, you can also put in some more zone 2 kind of workouts. Now zone 2 means just something where your heart rate is just slightly above normal, where you're doing something easy, light, recuperative, like walking, cycling or swimming. If you can do these post a meal, that would even give you more added benefits, because post meal kind of workouts help in at least again bringing your insulin down and absorbing glucose into the muscles. On top of that, sprinkle in some stretching and mobility work, some mashing, rolling, etc., as and when required. Okay then, so moving on to our next game plan: nutrition. Nutrition is going to be pretty straightforward. We want to eat as much protein as we can in our diet because again, going back to our exercise where we're going to be trying to build muscle and retain muscle, the first point of nutrition should be to eat as much protein as you can to give your body the raw materials that it requires to keep building these proteins and muscles. So there is a way to calculate your protein requirements. So here's a very rough calculation. If you weigh around 80 kilos, you got to convert this first into pounds by multiplying it into 2.2. So in this example, it works out to about 176 pounds, and your protein intake should be around 0.8 to 1 gram, or even sometimes to 1.2 grams per pound of body weight. So that would be, if this individual is 176 pounds, you multiply that into 0.8, that is 140 grams of protein per day, and that is the minimum amount you should be eating. So going by this example, and for this athlete, if he requires to be consuming 140 grams per day, this should be divided amongst the meals that he will be eating. If he's having a lunch and dinner, only 2 meals per day, it should be around 70 grams of protein per meal. Our next important point on nutrition is going to be about fiber. Fiber is one of the components of carbohydrates which cannot be digested by your body. Now it's extremely important for you to keep consuming fiber for many reasons. First being that fiber is what is used by your gut bacteria for them to grow and to thrive, and this has a lot of health benefits which we won't get into in this video. So you need to consume a lot of fiber. Secondly, another good point of why you should be eating enough fiber is that it fills you up also, leading to less cravings, and therefore you will be eating less processed foods and sweets, desserts, etc. The third part about nutrition is going to be, you're going to be eating some carbs. Now we can't do away with carbs completely. We are not going on a keto diet. But what, as we mentioned earlier, when we were trying to understand insulin, all carbs usually lead to a spike in insulin. So the less processed the carbs are, the better it's going to be, the lower the insulin response it's going to have. So we are definitely going to recommend that you try and have less processed carbs as much as possible. So that would be trying to avoid maida, trying to avoid white rice, and trying to go for the more healthy options like atta, unrefined flour, also brown rice, etc., etc. So those are three things that should be on your plate during every meal. Now let's look at what we should be avoiding. Definitely sugar. We had no sugar month last time. We're going to stop or reduce alcohol. Definitely sweets, desserts, and snacks. Anything that comes in a package which has a barcode on it or a label with kind of ingredients that you can't understand, those should be definitely avoided. The last point that I want to touch upon with respect to today's video and nutrition is about fasting. Now, while the word fasting might be scaring a lot of you off, it just means going a few hours without food. So the thing is, I want you to try and keep at least 3 hours between meals, have short meals in a day, and have as few meals as possible within a day. And this should be setting us up for having good digestion and making sure that your body is also having some bouts of time in the day when insulin is coming a lot lower, and thus your body is being able to tap those fat stores.